to see if it's going.
I got that spray for you.
I know.
It's not the same. Oh yeah, okay. So the thing is, IT, they probably only installed the newest drivers.
We're good.
Right. So it's trying to handle things here because like sometimes like all the Mac it's a lost cause. But like what I want to tell you is all the Mac
Does this? Oh yeah, it's registering.
probably don't.
Talk. Everybody's just getting their snacks with the club right now, and I am doodling to get the pen tablet working and get used to it. So stay tuned. We'll be doing some Pixel stuff soon.
Good job. I'm glad someone was the instigator. We're gonna visit their. Yeah, you can do that.
You should like get more money before you use it.
I made up the whole thing. And like, yeah.
Oh, you're probably good.
I made up the whole thing. I'm kidding. No, I didn't. That actually.
Not cool.
Is it just me, or did I make some okay abstract art?
Yeah. Is this about the downfall of public education?
Oh, I saw you.
Now it is.
Yeah. I was wondering what that last sketch was.
You guys have to take it and make it.
Thank you so much.
You guys have to take it to the end. With
Oh, right, yeah, sure. Very good. Excellent.
I finally came up with a legal idea for printing, so
Alright, lay down there.
it's gonna be like
honestly, like
decorated window.
explains it
Really bright and everything.
you just storyboarding? Were you in a storyboarding class?
I,
I have the bring them. Simple words.
Words are hard.
But it's what I got, and I'll have good pencils by the end of the weekend.
Awesome, great. Yeah, and I feel terrible. I got halfway through responding to your
anything
picture that you sent.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what happened, but it was just sitting in an open tab, my response to it, and I never sent it.
Okay.
So I'm so sorry. Well, I mean, not that it matters really at this point, but it was just like I started typing, and something happened, and I got distracted, and I never sent it. So I know
This one?
worse.
Like any approval would have just made it.
That's true. That's true. Why would you have no idea? What's going on?
Is it like looking at the screen when you have to?
oh fuck. Yeah, it's really awkward.
Or you can see it pixelated.
I can over here. Like I could look over here, but everything's so tiny, and I can't make this any bigger. So I'm just like, screw it. And I have the camera right here. I'm looking at you, camera. I'm looking at you, world. I don't know. Sometimes I might look over here. We'll see what happens.
If I was doing a talk, I think I would do like 2 hours earlier, spend the first hour doing classes.
What?
Instead of an hour set up, instead of 6 hours.
I would have loved it to come in here a little bit earlier, but I had to transfer rooms
Yeah.
so that people could have this multiply. What?
24 frames. Alright, Bobby, whenever you're good.
All right. All right, everybody, I'm going to start. I need quiet. Hi everyone, my name is Robert Lauer. I am the technical officer with the CIA Digital Media Club. I'm also a senior at the Cleveland Institute of Art, senior in game design.
Hi, Robert.
Yes, I have an art problem, and that's why I'm here. So today I'm going to be doing pixel art, but to introduce myself a little bit. I do a lot of game development with pixel art, making web and mobile games. I've worked for a few companies doing like mobile games and things like that. So this kind of art does come in handy because of the low resolution, so it doesn't take up a lot of room. And I just love the style because I love any kind of art that requires any kind of technical know-how. Like you have to like problem solve in order to create the art. So I'm just going to open up my website real quick for a quick view because I also do 3D work. And just a quick rundown of who I am. So yeah, you can view my work, and I have some pixel stuff on here as well as like I'll do 3D characters and then I'll render them out as 2D sprites for games, things like Clash Royale. Here's an old pixel animation I did of an archer. As well as this one was for a Unity programming class. A dumb little construction worker went around pushing blocks. So, oops, some cool examples of pixel art to come later. All right. So, pixel art is just like the close-up. Every image in Photoshop or in a game is made up of the pixels on the screen. And the more colors you have and the more color density you have, usually it means a higher file size. So pixel art is still used to lower file size. Oops, turn that down. So this file only would have 2 colors and it'd be incredibly small. So people still use it as well as stylistically to be retro. But there are some rules to making pixel art essentially, to make it look good and smooth and everything like that. And one of the first is line weight. So one of the, can someone turn off the lights on the front? So I can
too much, Bobby. That's not
I'm actually, we don't have 2 monitors. Camera's over here. So I am drawing with a tablet in my lap and completely looking at the screen. The keyboard's over here, so I can't really use it. So if I'm looking over here for the keyboard sometimes, pardon me. So line weight. And there's something called jaggies when it comes to pixel art. So brush strokes, like natural brush strokes, just don't really work in pixel art. It's super jaggy and everything like that. All of these little pixels on the side. Let's try this. And to zoom in and get a look at some of these jaggies. And to get started. So I'm just using a Photoshop document. I'll create a new one. Make sure you're at 72 resolution, and make sure you're set in pixels so it's not inches and massive. I'm in RGB 8 or 8-bit. You can also do 16-bit if you want. It doesn't really matter to me. But the tools that you'll be using are the pencil tool, which is located with the brush, the eraser tool, and in order to erase pixels, you can come up here, and where it says mode, you can change it to pencil instead of brush. I use the magic wand a lot to select certain areas. The lasso tool to group some areas too, because while I'm animating pixels, I tend to want to, readjust things easily. Oh, not having the hotkeys is really distressing me. I'll use the shape tool, so I'll use the line tool sometimes. That's how I create like HUDs and everything like that. And when you're up here, usually this line up here is checked anti-alias. That's up to you what you want to use, but and I'll explain what anti-aliasing is later, but for now you can check that off. All right, and I'll go back into talking about line weights and jaggies. So a jaggy is anywhere where there's just like an inconsistent step with the line or the pixel art. So you can see like there are jaggies because these are thicker. These 2 pixels are touching each other right there. And same right here. So the jaggies here, we got this one, we got this, as well as the steps are inconsistent. And if you've ever used a line tool, you might know what steps are, and you can catch them. And I'm using Photoshop, but you can also use MS Paint for this kind of stuff, or a software called Graphic Scale. I've never actually used Graphic Scale, but I know a lot of pixel animators who do. So steps, we have one step. Whoops. Two step. Oop, got a third one in there. And three step are the most common you'll see. And it's not good to really mix the steps too much. You can see this in a lot of art. You know, if you see a staircase, it'll really only use one kind of the step. And then you can use it to create curves if you blend in between them. So you can see the two step, and then if I go in, I can turn the, let's see if I can change the size of my eraser. You know, I can blend it into a three step, which gives a lot more of a curve. But these jaggies here, so if I do something like that, you can see that this two step is in there, and it needs to get out of there if I want it to look good. So if I try to copy this without that step there. So this is one of the first basics of line art, is just watching out for jaggies. And often when I'm working with pixel art, I'll usually do an underdrawing. So the same way you might do in Flash or Animate, you know, you do your little underdrawing of a doofy dude like this.
Hey, what resolution do you have it on already?
It is in 72 resolution.
Bobby, why do we work in 72 resolution instead of 300?
300 is printing resolution. I actually don't remember the details. Is it because that's just the resolution of a monitor in general? You know this, Mr. DOC.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's just because, like, if you work in 72 is just like a monitor's resolution, or like a basic screen's resolution. So you're not really getting any more detail when you have huge mega resolutions and you're using it for a game. Plus the file size gets bigger, and then that like makes the game lag, and it takes longer to pull up art and use things. For printing, you need large resolution, because if you were to take anything that Bobby's making, of course he's making pixel art, but even then his pixel art would look really pixely and grainy and bad if we tried to print it at 72, because the printer needs more information than that. And so it's almost like it's like trying to tell someone directions over the phone. You know, like, have you ever tried to do that before and it's just really bad and it doesn't work well? So that's what low resolution is like with printing. So you need to give the printer more information. So that's why we work at 300 plus when we want to print something. But if we're just making something that's only digital, purely digital, it does not need to be higher than 72 because the monitor is 72.
Bobby, why is your character flipping this off?
What?
Your character is flipping this off.
I don't know. He's just a cool dude. All right, moving on. So there are different kinds of characters that use different kinds of lines, and I'm gonna start going into fun examples. And for disclaimer, a lot of the examples I'm bringing up I do not own, and I will mention where they come from because it's just cool art, and I want to give them attribution. Some of them are from games that we can take a look at. So there's no line. There's no line art. Oops. If I go in here, oh, I gotta go on the other monitor. I wasn't ready for this. I'm just gonna drag pixel art. So a good example I'm gonna bring up are the sprites from the Mario and Luigi games from different generations. simply because right here we have Bowser, and this is a no line sprite, so there's no outline. There's no outline anywhere in there. It's all colored. And then we have black outline, so a thick black outline around the character. This usually flattens them, but it also helps stand out from the background. And that's kind of what I tend to do, because this is a character from my senior thesis I'm working on right now. He's just a background character, and this was just a rough doodle. But I typically actually like doing black outline with colored inlines. And the black outline really just helps them stand out from the environment, but it does flatten out the character. Then there's black inline. You'll see this in some older sprites, so you can see the black from the foot continues into him as well as in the arm. And in older sprites, they would do this to, clarify the forms inside of him. But nowadays, it tends to be muddy when you get too close inside of there. Like if there's too much black inline, you'll muddy the sprite and you'll lose some of the fidelity. Let me see if I can find an example. I believe these are all black. Whoa. These are all black inline sprites that I can't zoom into because it's a GIF. Then, so there's no outline, black inline, black outline. There's colored. Let's see if I can find a colored. This is a Pinterest, and if you don't use Pinterest, I recommend it. Like you can see here, this is just my pixel art photo album of just people's cool demos on how to do pixel art. Like here's one on pixel art textures. So I really come here to learn a lot of stuff. I know one I could look up. I think. Yeah, I believe this is one. So this is a colored line. So the outlines of the character, I believe so. I'm looking on a projector, so it's hard for me to tell. But basically a colored lined character. Instead of using black for the outline and the inline, it's just a darker version of the color that's on top of them. So there'd be a dark purple inline and everything like that. And then there's a selective outline, and I brought up, I brought up some Pokemon sprites for this. So Pokemon sprites are really cool because they actually, into the line themselves, so it's a selective outline. Sometimes the line comes in and sometimes it's out. But what's special about it is the outline itself actually acts as what direction the light is coming from. So if I turn off and just keep the line here, you can see where the light is hitting them and where it's black. So it's black on the bottom jaw here, and then it's all the color up here, because the light is coming from this direction. Light is coming from this direction, and light is coming from this direction, which is just a really cool way to highlight the sprites. So you can see it here, and it's one of those things that's really subtle, but it really ties everything in together. And I really love looking at the Pokemon sprites, and I'll just bring up as many as I can right here. And you can really see a good one to look at is Muck. Mewtwo also is pretty good, but where is Muck? There he is. It's just because he's such a simple form that he's easy to look at, but you can see the light purple up here, and then just the solid black down here. Purple, really light purple. So they build it into the outline itself, which is really nice. Go away, Lapras. And then along with line weights, there's something called anti-aliasing. And anti-aliasing is little dithering. Dithering is different. It's extra shades of a color to help smooth things out. So this is without anti-aliasing, this line. And this is what I was talking about before. So it's very blocky and hard-edged. But if I go up here and turn on the anti-aliasing, you can see it has all of these extra colors in here. Now, I don't usually work with anything that has anti-aliasing built straight into it, just because I like to have control over it. And when you're doing pixel art, it really is all about control, because you have little resolution to work with. So that's where the technical aspect comes in. It's almost like sculpting or 3D art in some ways, because you have to work within such limitations. So when should you use anti-aliasing versus, you know, just using the hard edges? Well, it depends on the character. So this is an art piece by Temi Chang. She's Temi in Undertale, and she did some of the art with this. This was a pixel art thing she did. Let's look around. So let's look around for some of the anti-aliasing she's put in here. She's put in the eyes to soften the eyes a little bit. But she's kept hard edges around certain spots. So one good thing is if you want to focus in on a certain area or keep it crisp, don't anti-alias. She doesn't anti-alias here because she wants these eyes to be crisp and clean. But she will use anti-aliasing on, let's find a spot, some of the sleeve there to soften the edge, soften the hair or the wisp. And I can just do a quick little doodle to illustrate this. Oh God, wrong button. I wish I had a keyboard in front of me. I don't even know where my little circle is now. We're going over here. So I'm not going to bother to clean up the jaggies too much. Because I want to get into drawing characters and looking at more pixel art. As well as for anybody who's interested, I'm going to show a simple way to do pixel animation in Animate, in Adobe Flash or Animate. Even though it's a vector program, so if you wanted to use the background stuff, I'll show you how to do that. There is also a plugin, but here at the school we can't install plugins, which is a bummer. So here's a simple like cell shade version of just a shadow on a ball. Whoops. Didn't think about that.
Oh, you don't have all layers on.
Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna do it this way. Too lazy.
That was quick.
Oh yeah, I know. I do things how I want. There. Ah!
So close.
I don't even, whatever. You know what? I want it that way. Robert Frost, take the path less traveled. I make my own path. Can't stop me. So this is really crisp with all hard edges and everything, and that might be the style of your game. And it's good to really zoom in and zoom out on your art typically. It depends on what your screen resolution is. So I've worked on games where the resolution is 480 by 260, I believe. I might be wrong on that. To games that are 1920 by 1080. And it really depends on what the resolution of your game is. So often when I'm working on something, I make sure to have at least a window that says how big my game is so I can look at that resolution and see when it's full screened on the screen itself, or if it's in a web browser, I can see what the asset's going to look at. You don't want to look at it only like this because that might not carry. And readability is a big issue, is one of the hardest things to do with pixel art, is making it readable. So if I was to anti-alias this, yes, select that color, a little bit darker. Let's see. Let's see if that softens the edge anymore. I could soften that more. God, I wish I could use a keyboard. I'm gonna keep saying that because it's not gonna stop being true. And it depends on how many steps you have. Like this might be anti-aliasing too much. I might just need a little bit. And anti-aliasing, a lot of times you'll use it for really large steps. So if you're doing, let's see if I can find an image. I'm going to type in anti-aliased versus not anti-aliased, and we'll see if we can get a cool result. And you see it a lot in fonts. You can change the crispness of the font. That's no characters. That's okay. And moving on into readability and color. Here's something talking about steps. And if you haven't seen it, Owlboy just came out recently. This was a game that took 9 years to make. It was 9 years in development with a small Norwegian team, I believe. They were all over the world. But this is all pixel art. All of this is just extremely detailed and beautiful pixel art. So I really recommend looking at the game and making your character stand out from the background. You know, a lot of games will do it with the characters being, you know, more flat color. Same with animation, flat colors versus a detailed background, and that's what they do here, as well as this has a lot more anti-aliasing in it. So it, you know, it softens the background, makes it a little more blurry. And then he doesn't have that much anti-aliasing on him, except for very few select spots. Which also helps when it comes to doing facial expressions, because you can really crisp that up. And talking about light, I like to look at this artwork here. It's a big inspiration for me. So when you're setting up your palette, it's really important to make your colors stand out from each other, and it depends on how many colors you're allowed for the game. As I was saying earlier, the more colors you have, the larger the file size is. So you can actually put, if you're in game development, I recommend using this all the time. Depending, for big images, I'll often put something in here into the tiny PNG, so I'll just grab a random image. So let's grab whatever that's a GIF. That probably won't work. I mean, it didn't do much, but what it does is it helps reduce some of the color data without like harming the picture, and will reduce your file size. I've put things in here that were like 28 megabytes and come back with, you know, 90% less of that without the image changing in any way. So if I take Timmy Chang, 76 kilobytes to 29 kilobytes. Which is really nice for web and mobile games. And that was already extremely small. If you've worked on Photoshop documents before with brushes and the high paintings, you'll see those files jump up to like 28 or even more megabytes. I've seen Photoshop documents reach gigs before.
And Anthony has like 6 gig files.
Yeah. And then when you render a PNG, if there's all that color data in there, it'll still be a lot. And some sprites will be huge. If you look at Bastion or Transistor sprites, even though those were 3D models turned into sprites, and I believe they're 16 directional, they're huge. I grabbed one, I took it from, I think, a gig. I was just experimenting. I took it from a gig to just over a few hundred megabytes. All right. So color can decide. So if you've seen Game Boy games, original Game Boy games, that's a good example, and how they use their colors sparingly. Whoops. What's going on? Oh, I did game sprites. These only have 2 colors. These don't use 2 to 3. Most sprites could only use 3 colors, I believe. And that's how game art worked for a really long time. In like Commodore 64, you had certain cells or small frames that you could put colors into. And what you would end up doing is cleverly organizing them. I think King's Quest is a great example. I'll just do 1. No, it might have been 2. Because they didn't use a lot. Yeah, great game. Look at all that beautiful art. Look at that. Look at that. This was revolutionary at the time. And if you didn't know, this game was made by a woman. Let's see. No, that's not a great example.
Wasn't this like a series?
Yes. And a series that actually just got restarted. So I think this is correct. If you grab small frames, I don't know how big the pixel frames are, but if you just broke this into it, you'll notice that, there aren't more than 3 colors in any given frame. So you might have the red, black, and gray, and then over here you might have the red, gray, and blue. And again, it was all problem solving. And when you're doing your art in pixels, it's very tempting to always do what's pretty much here. And art in general, but I recommend against it because that's how you get the really pretty things, is just taking the color and say make it darker. That's really boring looking. If you really look and if you take color palettes from this, the shadow here is green and the light here is yellow with a little tint of green, and then this shadow has blue in it, and then this shadow has orange in it. If you take the palette of all of these, you'll get a lot of different colors, but they use anti-aliasing really cleverly in this. And there are different techniques, and I might go through that if people are interested in textures, like how to do these leaves or how to do grass or stone and things like that. A lot of it has been done before. It's just kind of how you do it. As well as with shading and light, there's something called dithering, which I think I have a file on. Yes. So you might have seen this before, but this is called dithering. Since you only don't have that many colors, this is essentially creating a gradient just by using pointillism. And you can actually create dithering brushes in Photoshop by creating textures or downloading them online or whatever. That's why I was upset I don't have my brushes, because I actually have a brush that I made that is a dithering brush that has pressure sensitivity to it. So I can just create mist around something using this dithering. It's also a great way to use gradients and everything like that. And some early Kirby games still use dithering really well in the backgrounds to really create a soft feel to them to make Kirby stand out. Let's see. And I'm going to jump into Flash and just show you guys how to do that if you guys are interested. So on this layer, I'm just going to draw Doofy dude here. Doofy cool dude. Yeah. So then I will create a layer above it, and then you could animate this layer. If you had a character and you did an animation here because you like using the onion skin, and that's agreeable, you could either save it out as a GIF and put that into Photoshop and animate on top of it, which I'll do a little bit of, or you could actually just do it in here, and you would create a grid. Shift. On a layer above it. So these first 2 lines are going to decide how many pixels I have. And I actually want to have more. So I'm going to close this in a little bit. Oh, it's snapping. There. And now if I duplicate these, I'm just kind of creating my pixel grid. Yep. It's really hard to do this without seeing up there. Nope. There is a plugin for Flash that lets you do this, like just draw in bitmap or in pixels. But as I said before, if you can't download it for some reason, there's this way of doing it. All right, so I have half a grid here. And if I duplicate this over here, and where's my transform? Oops. And you can tell that that's really hard to look at, so I'm actually going to grab all of this and make it a lighter gray. So now in order to do the pixel animation, I can grab the paint bucket and we'll do like a red outline of the character. Boop, boop, boop. And then when I'm ready, select the grid. There's my pixels. And then you can animate the whole thing in there like that. Go from frame to frame and just paint in this grid. And when you're done, you can delete the grid. So if you did want to create a pixelized kind of effect in Animate, this is one way to do it. I wouldn't recommend this for big scenes or really complex characters. But for some of you, you might like this as a workflow to get a rough of your character. Because Animate is a vector-based. All right. And then there's also a way to fake pixel art that works pretty well. I'm going to create another sphere because it's super easy and it's dumb. Actually, it's going to be an egg. I said an egg. Egg. Good enough. Zoom in. Grab a medium tone. Oop, I didn't want that to be that red. The red comes later. Now on a layer above it, I'm going to create a clipping mask layer. And now with the pencil tool, I'm going to come over here, make it a little bigger, have my pressure sensitivity on, and turn on the flow control so that I can have more brush strokes and weigh everything. And while this does look crappy, and I know it, it's all going to come together in the end. I'm not trying very hard. Don't judge me. Don't judge me! I know you are. There, it's a dumb egg. Then I can go create one more layer above it. Clipping mask. Turn this one to a multiply layer. Might be a little too dark. But darken that. And then to create this effect, and I've done this to create textures on pixels before. Oh yeah, I'm going to convert this to a smart layer. Filter, convert for smart layers, yeah. Filter. Pixelate does not do what we actually want, just throwing that out there. Noise, that's what I wanted. So I'm going to add noise. Turn it up to about 22, good enough. Make it monochromatic. We have that. I might have actually made this a little too thick. You can kind of get that faked pixel look, and then you can do the same thing for the highlight. But I'm I'm actually going to go up here and turn my brush into a dither brush, or dissolve brush, that's what I mean. I think I'm going to go with a gradient brush. Neither of these are on. And then pretty much just repeat the same thing. The reason I'm converting it to smart filter is because you can turn that on and off. I'm going to pump it way higher. And make sure it's monochromatic. Opacity on. Then you can apply that to the whole thing. You can get way more detailed with this and way better than what I'm doing. I actually don't know what's going to happen if I do this, if I use the normal brush. Oh, sweet. It actually does exactly what I wanted it to. That makes me happy. And fake it till you make it. You can pretty much layer these until you get a fake pixel art. And I'm doing a really bad job at this, but that's one way of just faking pixel art with something that you've already drawn, or you want to do high res rather than, because the way this is done is you go in pixel by pixel and place everything. That's more of a way if you want to get more painterly with it, if you want to create more shades and everything. But you can see here, like, they are deliberately going in pixel by pixel and putting in those anti-aliasing. And now I'm good. Oh, and everybody, that's right. So last year when we did this, oh yeah, this is a guy I did for my BFAT. I forgot to bring him up. So last year we created sprites and we actually made a small game with it. And I'd like to do that again this year. And since we're going to be I'm going to be working over winter break. I'm going to set up a date. I'm going to post it on the Facebook or send out an email. And everybody can send me their assets. And I'm going to take everybody's assets and actually put it into a special video game that I will then post online for everybody in the world who wants to play it. And we did this last year, and it was kind of fun. And everybody just created crazy assets and everything like that. Let's see if I can find it. If not, I can find it online. I know that. Can we not play it here? There. Last year I made that in about a week, and everybody made the assets in about a week. But this year I'd like to make a much bigger game, and we have a much bigger group here who could possibly make the assets. And now that I'll be making this game over winter break, and then when we come into the school year next semester, the game will be done. And first meeting we'll have everybody play. We'll have all the computers with the game. It's going to be a side-scrolling platformer, and the only limitations I'm giving people are your asset or character either has to be 32 pixels by 32 pixels or 64 by 64 pixels. And all of those assets, all of the characters there were 32 32s, which is about how big all of the floor assets will be. And if you want to make a background asset like a tree that goes into the background, or a box, or a collectible, make it about 32 32, or a combination of 32 32 if you're making a character that's going to be small, or like a main character, make it 32 32. If you're making a tree, 64 64. If you're making a big boss character, make it 64 64. And then I'll take everybody's assets. I'm going to make a 2-player cooperative play game, side-scrolling adventure kind of thing. And yeah, we'll all play it next semester, so I look forward to seeing what kind of things I'll get over the winter break. It'll probably be at least halfway through winter break. I'd like to see this kind of like something. And it doesn't need to be a big character. You don't need to go crazy with the animations. I just want to share some cool animations real quick.
What should the exported file be?
The exported file should be a GIF. And Colin has gone over this in a previous meeting, and if not, we can go over it a little bit. I'm going to just work on a character and how to export a GIF. Or if you download a special plugin for Photoshop, you can make something called a sprite sheet, which is what it'll be turned in anyway. And if you haven't seen a sprite sheet before, I can bring one up. Let's see. I think I have one from Caravan Crusade. So this is pretty much what a sprite sheet looks like. Each one of these is actually a square representation of the area between the player, and each one of these is a frame that it'll select. And this is how the game stores these animations, these 2D animations. And that's why you use 32, 32, 64, 64, 128, 128, because those are squares, and they're multiples of 4, and the same goes for texture data and like 3D video games. You want them to be square, because this is a rectangle, but in the game's engine, typically, it's still going to actually convert this to a square. So there's a bunch of negative space that's not actually being used, but it's actually taking up data. So if you make it square, even if you're not using it, because there's all this extra area over here, and that's just because of the arrow, that's still okay as long as it's a square, just because it saves space. Here's a sprite sheet here. Here's a bigger sprite sheet of a 3D character. You can see all the negative space. A lot of this negative space, yeah, it's square. But yeah, this was just a 3D character that I converted to a sprite from animating it in Maya. Now, does anybody have any questions? As I'm just gonna pretty much go in and start animating this dude. And if anybody has questions or wants like some assistance on or like anything like that, or wants to see any, does anybody want to see anything specific relating to pixel art? Any questions about it from like video games and whatnot?
So what are your top like pixel artists that you usually look at?
Oh yes, I meant to bring that up. So there is always Paul Robertson is a great one, and so he does a lot of art like this. And if anybody's watched Gravity Falls, he did the character Giffany. He did Giffany, and I believe he did who's the Street Fighter guy? Yeah, he also animated him. He does a ton of pixel animation, and a lot of pixel animation you'll see in shows pretty much come from him or other people like him. He did a lot of stuff for Adult Swim. I'm just gonna look him up. I think I did that right. Yeah. So he does a lot of crazy stuff and a lot of not safe for work stuff. I'm just going to bring that up now. This is a heads up. A lot of his art is not safe for work, but it is gorgeous, and we're an art school, so we don't care. Like this. Come on, man. There's something he did with Giffany. But he's a very talented pixel artist. I'm trying to find one that's animated that he usually has. What?
The one up, down.
Well, that one. Oh, God, that's just rainbow filter. There's one where he has a what?
The one next to his face. A little recent.
You just go to the website.
I know.
That'll be easier.
Let's just go this. There was a specific one I was looking for. And you can see a little bit of dithering right there, but most of it's just binary cell shading. Yeah, he's crazy with his pixel art. And then I was mentioning earlier Owlboy. Owlboy is gorgeous. It's on Steam now. Let's see. But yeah, they do a lot of gorgeous stuff with the foreground and background. So this is still all pixel art. This is a good close-up of him. Doesn't have a lot of dithering. They do a lot, or even anti-aliasing, but they do a lot with his outline, it looks like. So I can see different colors on the outline on the outer edge of his leg there. So they can still give highlights and shadows and everything without actually having to do a lot of detail inside the character. This guy, on the other hand, I can see a lot of anti-aliasing in his back and a little bit in his hands. And hands and small things like that can get complicated. It's a lot of trial and error. Like, I usually just draw like this guy right here. I just draw a big blob. And the way I usually animate pixel characters is I will do a nice render of them, like as a still frame. And I know a lot of pixel animators, they'll get a fully rendered version of the character, and then they'll just have to animate it from there. So they have the color palette, they have the character in their normal stance, and they animate it from there. I believe that's what they do in Duelist. But that's usually what I do is I get a nice rendered version of the character and I'll animate it from there. So once I do the first rendering, so this is like the main pose I'm going to be working on and going towards. But then after that, I'll start doing more of, these things. So I'm going to have him going from this standing position to this big jump animation. And that's what I did with that Archer. I did and that's what I'm going to do with all of these characters. So I have his base stance there, and then when I go to animate him, I'll probably have him lean down like this. And I will draw all these frames, and then he'll bring his arm up. So I'll go super rough like this. And then to animate in Photoshop, up here there's a window. Turn on timeline. You don't want video timeline for this kind of animation. Turn on flash. Create animation. And then I will typically make I like to actually do all of my pixel art on one layer. Some people do different layers, like they might put the arm on a different layer, the head. I really like doing it all in one layer just because I feel like it gives me, it stops me from feeling restrictive and just puppet animating the character. I don't want to just grab the arm and rotate it and then fix it. I really want to get dynamic. If I want to have the character turn them around. A lot of people feel like if you're doing a cool animation, you don't want to have the character, or with a video game, you don't want to have the character turn around. But if it's only for a few frames, like they're spinning around to do a sword slash, do it. Make the character feel more three-dimensional. And then, as I was saying with hands, I'll usually just draw big blobs and then later go in and start defining them. Oh. I'm not used to the hotkeys. So I have that color. I grab that. Oh, I'm on the layer above it. I believe I got sidetracked. But if I take this layer, and which one's Alt? I think it's this one. Ooh. Get out of here. So I'll make a slight difference with this character, and I will use the lasso tool. And I'm going to do that thing about rotating the arm. I'm just doing it for, I can do it like this and everything. I just don't like relying on it too much. I can do it to reposition things. And I'm also doing it just to create a different frame. Oops. So you can actually, before I do that, when you're in the transform tool up here, you can actually go from interpolation. Make sure you're nearest neighbor. That stops that anti-aliasing from happening. And you'll get crazy things. Like you can see how this arm is completely disfiguring. Like it doesn't look nearly the same because I'm working with a different pixel resolution. So now I have these two frames, one with the arm up, one with the arm down. If I go down here and make frames from layers, I can delete a couple of these frames. Oops. I can create new frames down here. And Colin, which one of these switches? Colin is another officer who also works on me in creating pixel games. He did a demonstration on how to create GIFs. Colin, which one of these is that I want to click for locking the layers?
Locking the layers?
Or so that I can animate on one layer without affecting the others?
Animate on one layer?
You know what I mean?
Oh, you mean like moving it around?
Yes.
That is the little checkbox right there.
This one?
No. There's a move a little bit more and up. Just
propagate frame one.
Poof.
So if you edit frame one, it's not going to move everything else.
Got it.
Frames.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Go for it.
So, I'm having this issue where I'm drawing something in a specific color and it's not letting me draw over that color. So, for instance, I use white right here. I'm not going to switch the layers. I'm going to try and use this color and then go white.
Let's take a look. And now it's pretty much just free work. I'm going to be working here for a long time, or as long as the meeting's going on, as long as people stick around. So if people want help with pixel whatnot, or want to ask me questions about my process, I'll just be working on it.
So, the problem is that I'm using,
I dragged it over this way.
It just means you were on the drawing. All right, that's it for the small presentation of the pixel art demo. I'm going to close the stream, but I am going to record me animating this character. And when the character is done animated and everything, I'll post the whole like speed video of it being created. And we'll post that to the CIA Digital Media Club. And everybody can download it or watch it. And everybody can view this video in the past because we have it saved to our Twitch for a while. Tune in next week, or not next week. We're going to be on hiatus for a few weeks, and when we come back, I'm actually going to be doing another demo on 3D character unwrapping for UVs. The Blizzard contest is coming up, and that's a lot of, again, technical things, working with limitations, and we're going to be unwrapping a 3D model and learning how to paint it in Photoshop for stylistic appeal. And until next time, that's the CIA Digital Media Club signing out. Yeah. Whistle.
What resolution? Did you say 72?
72. And then your character or environment or whatever. How many, and people, everybody, you can create more than one asset for this game if you would like.
I'll give you. Yeah. And when do you think you
And I'll be posting a date on the Facebook and we'll send out a date. I have to determine my schedule.
Like whether it's 32.
But hey, I'd like them probably week 2 and break.
I'll give you a billion assets.
Yeah.
Do it. I'll put them all in. That's the thing. I'm going to use every single one of these assets. And I don't care if they're like the same. We can have a dancing hot dog and like a dragon. I don't give a crap.
So a wizard chicken is.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't. That's what I thought too, but like I don't know. How to make sure I sit.
I'm going to eat a little snack.
Yeah, that's all I know about. My friend Logan, he said that the bathtub is max, and this is really max.
What?
No idea.
30 frames, or is it okay if you put it on twos?
Sure. It all because it's going to be exported as a sprite sheet anyway.
Do you have, would you have like, plugin that you recommend for making a spreadsheet?
No, you really just look up sprite sheet Photoshop script. I believe it's just like sprite sheet generator 6.0.
Okay.
They all really do the same thing.
Yeah. Haven't made any like pixel art since middle school, or maybe in high school.
And if anybody's interested, just shamelessly plug work. I should have done this on the stream. So, Colin and I, this is just a shameless plug for a game that's going to be coming out soon. Colin and I worked on a game this summer, and it's just about done. It's going to be on web and mobile, and it uses a lot of pixel art. Almost all the pixel art of the characters, environment, and enemies is all Colin, and a lot of the HUD and the elements are me. I did the programming and everything like that, but this is coming out a little bit soon, and here's the trailer. SpongeBob. Oh no, this is the video that got me YouTube famous. I don't know if you guys know that, but you're in the room with a celebrity. I have a video on YouTube with 5,000 views. YouTube famous over here. I don't remember which one this is.
I am now going to assault your mind with subliminal messages. Sorry you had to see that.
The other one has 10,000. YouTube famous here. Woo!
I don't know if I call that famous. I think I
You don't know? Don't you dare talk down to me. Do you know who I am?
I think that's more infamy.
Famous is famous. Watch Nerdland.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. There's no such thing as bad publicity.
All right. So I am just going to work on this guy now. Whoa, that's backwards.
I heard my name.
I can stay the same. What are you doing here? What do you hide the whole time and then you come with stuff? Unacceptable. Speaking of infamy, bounty queen. Someone's not. Are you looking for a show?
I'm actually curious. Who here is in? How many freshmen do we have here? That is awesome. Is everybody interested here in like a game design or animation or illustration? Let's see some game design hands.
I'm between the three, so.
Yeah, that's how it is. Okay, and animation? I don't give a crap about you, Steve Snipples. Illustration? All that pixel art that goes on in the illustration world, am I right? You're biomed over there. Why are you here? Why is it every biomed student is interested in game something at one point or another? Why is it that every biomed student comes to a game thing at one point or another?
I mean, game makes everything popular, I guess.
All I've ever heard from them is just like, because biomed's boring.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. It's cool, but man, is it boring after a while. Oh, and the software that I used to create that game I made, all the games we've made a couple. We go to Global Game Jam every year and everything like that. It's called Stencil. It's a web and mobile game creation platform, and it's really easy to learn. I learned it in the summer of my freshman year. I just was like, I want to learn. I want to make a game. So I found a simple engine that did it, and I started working on it. So let me find it. And it teaches programming logic. I'm probably going to do a quick run through of how Stencil works and everything at some point for people who are interested in programming or something like that. Because this is a great way to learn programming logic. So it uses all of these blocks, and then you can use real scripting if you want. Like you can create your own special blocks that you can reuse and everything like that. And it's real programming logic without the syntax. So if you've ever seen real code, if you forget to put the period somewhere, everything explodes. And that's usually a barrier for learning. I like this as a great learning platform because it's really well organized and everything like that. And it is programming logic. You can teach someone how to program through this because programming logic is the same no matter what language you're using. The only difference is syntax. So if you want to create a super simple Mario game, they have a lot of the stuff made for you. The community has really grown. This is what I'm making my BFA in, which I'm actually going to show some of the art that I didn't do before. But I'm using it in there because if you want to create a Mario jump, it's been done before. So you can download it, modify it, and then make it your own. Because there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. If you know how to make a jump work, why do it every single time or everything like that? So like the whole airlock game, that's just a simple shooting script. You know, whatever direction the character is facing, he'll shoot a bullet that way. Then I also layered another script that is always face the mouse. There we go. The game's made. And it's really just modifying it from that point on to make something your own. So it started off with something really basic, and then I just kept adding on to it and adding on to it. And this does support mobile, desktop, HTML5, Flash, Android. It does not support console, and you cannot do server-side multiplayer. But it's like if you want to make a game by yourself.
In high school, I had a programming class that ran on C# and it scared me away from game programming forever. So
That's how it was for me when I went to Kent State for a year before coming here, and I took an introductory programming course, and they taught C++, which is actually the hardest language to learn. It's the most powerful language, but it's also, is that a dick?
Ooh, a dick.
Great character in this game. I'm not using a dick in this game.
How many frames?
I am going to limit the amount of animation frames. I'm going to limit it to, at most 14 frames.
14 and
What?
Okay.
Let me see what you're doing, and then I'll see.
It's like a ball monster that's running. I'm making it really cute.
I could. I will. But yeah, I'll limit it to 14 frames because again, pixel art is all about working with those limitations. Oh,
He was jumping.
and no more than 24 colors.
I basically just took all the colors from the color picker and then just slapped them on.
It is a dick monster.
Yes.
So some views from my BFA.
I like that little character, the green character.
This one, the little bean
No,
sprout.
the top one.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all flower. They're all flower and mushroom.
That's adorable. I mean, I love it too, but. Aw.
And that dithering thing I talked about, that faking texture, this really is, I just generated noise and then used it to create a dithering, a nice texture effect on the side of that.
But it still works well for like the brick effect too.
I kind of want to animate this guy. I guess it is my BFA. Screw it, I'm going to animate this guy. This is the guy I'm animating that. No, I started on this one. I'll do it. That's what I want.
It's funny because I was too.
Oh, and I'll be posting all this thing. And if you weren't at this meeting, if you know anybody who didn't come to this meeting but still would like to do the pixel art for the game, tell them. I will be putting all of the pixel art. If everybody here made 10 sprites, I will still put all of them in the game. I'll do it. And it'll be the most ridiculous looking game in the world.
Not want to change steps.
You said 12, right?
Oh, you're right. I need to review the face. That was just a big slip. I'm not turning it into a fucking big set. I want to show my parents this game. Maybe. Well, it depends on
Oh, I fire. One of the hardest things to animate.
That's so cool.
Besides, I don't really want to make it. If I don't want to make it their dick.
I love
It's just too many dicks.
Yes.
Okay, that was an exception. That was Sean Cost. Sean Cost is the last one. I like that actually better. Get it out of here. Get it out.
Another good practice with characters. When you're doing characters, you don't typically want to rotate their face because pixels don't like tilting the head. So if you'll notice characters when they bob their heads or tilt it or do anything, their head is still straight because taking an eye that looks like this, oops, an eye on a pixel character like that, and then trying to tilt it 45 degrees, their eye turns into this. And no matter what you do, it's going to look weird. So that's why you'll notice a lot of pixel characters, unless they're higher res, they will not tilt their heads a lot.
It's not. The eyes aren't matching.
Have a good day.
I wouldn't do it. Well, I don't want it exactly the same, but I want it
Yeah.
I've done that before. I wanted to be on that story. It makes it harder. It makes me yes, it does. Oh no! It makes me a piece of shit.
Ah.
Get a window.
It's your pet? The only relationship with yours is that. Yeah. Well, you can like make him walk. I mean, like, just don't make him.
I feel like I stole your other pen too.
Anybody when they were little, like, I was using my
I'm just like slowly collecting your pens.
I know.
Because they always end up with
Thing to hit.
I don't know. Just take them sometimes. I kind of resist the urge to like chips.
Yeah.
Really?
Actually was.
Honestly, if you have any pens, go with me. Just ask.
Do you have any Sharpies? I lost like all my black Sharpies. So I went to my desk and took like all the black Sharpies.
That's right. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I'm like,
You're never getting these stats.
I don't know why I do that.
It was once a swastika. Oh, okay. Yeah. It wasn't once a swastika. Fun accident. Wait. I didn't mean to.
Now he's gonna turn.
That's okay. Please do that.
Just receive.
Sheds out.
into my BFA. I just really wanted to animate. I just really wanted to do that pose.
Yeah, there it goes.
Even though, like, the thing is, this character is going to be doing the same pose eventually, pretty much. It's just different character.
That's the main character of my BFA. No, I'm seeing what they look like on your skin. Because I don't want to like drop something and not show up. It's cool. Like, I love the tones. Thanks.
I guess you can draw a body for the You didn't show the pigeon. Just dancing pigeons.
Dancing pigeon.
Dancing pigeons. Yeah, I showed you dancing pigeons.
What artist is that?
Yeah, it's
John, are you using like yeah.
I thought the thing kind of works. It's pixel, but it's like
Yeah, it's completely
doesn't really relate to what
Yeah, it's
it's
not.
featured.
Do you guys know Sid Mead? He's at CTN. You don't know Sid Mead?
No.
Oh.
Do you?
I think he worked on comic artists. You are that area. I don't know, what is that? There's an artist I follow as Sid Mead, and I think he came up to CTN. I think Sid Mead is at CTN.
Oh my god. Peace out of here. Yeah, right? I know. Alright.
Yeah, some people understand that.
What's the relationship you say?
I don't know how they want it.
I don't know what I'm saying. So, ignore me. We're not.
Steve, what are you doing over there? You're supposed to be over here feeding me potato chips. Like a good son.
Good.
Steve Snipples?
Bye, son.
I want to hear my real names.
No, we're fucking live that here.
Steve Snipples Raleigh. Don't make me come over there.
Come on, we will all die if we take our possible. No.
I like to imagine that your middle name is Steve. It is Snipples. It is. You know what? Your middle name's Snipples now. Radical.
Yeah.
We're not kind of tempted to make the students sadder though. They just want to look at you. Is it
Doesn't matter.
editing?
Doesn't matter.
True.
Who's on your
He's actually retired as far as he like designed the look of
It's just the detail of the
I look good.
So is this like gigantic segment of like future love spaces?
What is that?
hang on.
He makes all
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, it's all up there. some other things I'll just point out for the fun of it. If you're doing like bigger levels and everything, and you need to figure out like your tile set. Actually, you know what? I'll open up. I didn't explain what a tile set was. That was silly of me. I'm gonna do that now. Hey everybody, I forgot to explain a cool thing. Environments in video games, if you don't know, you can there's modifiable or modular levels in 2D games tend to use something called a tile set, which is what we're looking at here. This is actually from RPG Maker. What this is a modular level, so you can use these and place them all over the place. So if you see like Mario games, you'll see the same assets over and over and over again. It's Mario Maker. Mario Maker uses a tile set. You place the level tiles down and then it does it for you. So you use these to make your world. And a tile set is special because each one of these squares, it's 32 pixels by 32 pixels. And there are certain things like that most tile sets have. If you're doing this top down, so here's a top left corner, right corner, and this right here, what that is that is an outer edge corner. So if I wanted to have this bend, if I wanted to have this, make this shape, and then go upwards like that, I need that corner there. And same if I have a right corner. So I can actually bring up the tile set for airlock, which Colin made. Tile sets. So we have multiple ones, but let's see. I think this is the one that's in there currently. So we have the different tiles. So we have a right edge, an outer edge, and this is inner corner for the top up here. But what I wanted to show was if you're doing art for a tile set like this, you can go to edit, preferences, guides, grid, and slices. And instead of inches, you can change it to pixels. 32, subdivisions 1. And then if I hit view grid. So here's the grid now. So I know where everything is on this grid, as well as it makes it easier when you're doing level design to look at how your character fits into this grid. So my BFA actually does use a grid like that for the assets. So relative to the character, I can go to view. I think the grid is still the same. Let's find out. So I can see how big I'll need to make, like how I'll have to allocate some of these assets. Some of these like trees, some trees aren't in the tile set. They're just assets of their own. They function the same way the sprite does. And that way it's easier to make collisions around them and more modifiable. So I don't have to adhere to the grid. Let's see if I can bring up. Where's my level design? Level design. So when I do a level design like this, I can try and snap to the grid and everything like that. Where certain assets are going to be. And when I'm working with airlock level design, I can turn on snap to grid so that every time I draw a line, it'll automatically snap to this grid, which makes it really easy because I'm working with a tile set where all of the walls and all of the assets snap to that tile. So if you're thinking of a Zelda game, that's how the Zelda walls work. We'll do level 5. Level 5 is fun. So now, view, snap is on. Turn on that grid. Make this about 6. Suck up this color. And it makes it easy to snap. And also, if you hold shift, it'll automatically straighten it out for you. But it automatically tries to find those edges, so it's a lot easier. Because before, you know, I had to zoom in. If I wasn't snapping, I'd have to zoom in and like carefully make sure everything was. And it just made level design a lot easier. And also to turn off that grid, if you like, when you get in close with pixel art, you'll have that grid show up.
It doesn't work if you don't know your grid.
If you hit Control H, it makes it go away. So if that gets a little too annoying for you, you can also go in and turn down the color of your grid. So I can make it a darker color if I wanted to. I don't know if that applies to that one, but the bigger grid it definitely does. So I would be working with the black background for level design, and I didn't want the grid to be white because that was a little blinding. So I just turned down the color. Same way I did in here, where this was originally black and I turned it down so it was easier to look at. But yeah, that's a tile set, and if anybody wants to attempt in making a tile set, go for it. Look up like a Mario style tile set or something like that, and if you guys want to try it, do it. And yes. And if you do a tile set, each tile is 32 pixels by 32 pixels, and you'll organize it in a similar fashion to this. But yeah. But yeah, this is the character. Like this is a character. So this is what I mean. Like I'll do a full render of the character, and then I'll start to go into. I don't know. I just like doing it. I like because then I know what the character is, and I don't want to. You know, bend, don't break. Like when I first started doing this guy, I did this one because this is the key pose. But you know what's going on here? That's a really big arm, and you know I'm gonna throw his body back like that. But does it? Oh my god. Will it match this? Is that arm long enough? Are these legs too long? But I know the key pose, and this is like the one that I want to focus on the most. So the animation I'm going to be doing is he's going to bend down. Jaw's going to drop. He's going to bend down more. So I have this little overlap frame where the body's like that and the jaw just goes like, oh. And then bend down a little bit more. And then I'm going to have to lunge up. He's going to bring his arms up and push this arm down. You know, I'm going to hold this pose for a while. And maybe have another frame just so the arms wiggle as he's flying through the air. And then probably just cut it off there. Because then the next animation that would follow this would be him resuming back to his animation. So that way I can make it modifiable for a game that he's dashing for as long as I want him to. So I'll just loop the animation. I might actually cut it off here. And then another animation would be him just in the air, because then I can hold him in the air as long as I want, instead of relying on the animation. Oh, thank you. I just grabbed a random character from my sketchbook, and I was just like, I want to doodle a thing. Like, I was going to do him, but I don't know, I just felt like doing it. Because I wanted people to see me draw the character. And this character is already done.
Does that look better than this? Like if I were to erase that line.
Oh, I wish I had a keyboard.
Yeah. I suddenly looked at it and I was like, oh, that actually that looks better.
Oh, airlock? That is Colin back there with the glasses.
Oh, that's what I was
Yeah. We also worked together on a game called Hookshot Hobo. You are a hobo in a shopping cart on the highway with a grappling hook.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's the whole game.
Yeah, so they're like
What? It's this magical. He's a skeletal.
Oh, you're doing still doing animation?
Yeah, I'm going to.
Oh, nice.
Is a lot. That's what. That's
So.
what.
There's also. Look how nice.
Is that the? Oh, that's the underdrawing. I don't care about that anymore. That frame.
Now I just picture Skeletor's life in the soundtrack, but sped up like 1,000 times. It's being repeated. Oh, shit.
Why?
Why is it? Oh, that's why. You're going into illustration? Is it?
I hope so. Honestly, it's scary.
Yeah. It's nice. The school's so desperate for money that it takes in more students than it has room for.
Yeah.
It's so scary. No, he always is like, how's your tiger come?
Do you know what you want to do with illustration?
Because it's so hard. Like, yeah, they don't have that.
Like, does it have anything to do with pieces? Let's go to the dentist.
Wait, are we gonna go to Denny's? Wait, are we going to Denny's?
Yeah, cool.
Wait, are we?
No, I'm just
Son of a
I'm making
bitch.
fun of Jeff.
You son of a bitch.
No.
You're so broken.
You all went to Denny's with Jeff that one time and I wasn't here and it made me sad. It was him, but oh, I'm sorry. Denny's is Jeff and I's thing, damn it.
I wouldn't even
He's
go
clearly cheating on you.
You shut your mouth.
Well, when he got to California, he went to Denny's.
Yeah, that's the first thing you did,
That's the
Robbie.
first thing he did. He got to Denny's.
Now you
Go ahead.
I don't believe you.
Check Facebook. Facebook has
No.
He's not even trying to be subtle about it. It's over, okay?
Yeah. I know. I'm pulling it up right now.
Sorry, I'm pretty good.
You just gotta keep it this way.
I need Bob to buy it.
I don't know.
I copied the background, and the background is
Oh, here.
How are you late now?
I usually. Oh!
I'm sorry, Bobby, but it's over.
I need that.
Yeah. Are you just not realizing? Yeah. Because he was in here today.
Apparently said they went to CCM.
Huh?
Apparently said being at CCM.
That's a little bit. Yeah, well, yeah, we're talking about that. Yeah. Like Emily went to
Oh, she went?
It's like little.
Oh, and none of them like far you.
Yeah, really. No one can tell me what to do.
She runs.
What a break. That's it. Supposed to think that she do it. How do I
I'm not a girl flower. And you think
So is that who's like dancing? Oh no, this is
It's a good thing.
I don't have to go.
She's not my fave.
I love you.
She likes me a lot. For some reason.
She only calls it
It also limits me. So that's why, like, this character, while this is mostly just there's going
Am I talking to myself here?
First name still not much.
Is this like your final checkout check-in thing?
So from here, what do we do?
It's good to leave room for those parts because hers have big parts like that. I actually should plan out his arcs because I didn't really think about his animation. Perfect. A lot of game animations will have a figure 8 in them. So if you've ever seen Blizzard, Overwatch, World of Warcraft, a lot of their idols and animations have a figure 8 in their motion. Or like, because you have those curves when it comes to animation. That's part of animation is getting nice, satisfying curves movement. So in games, when they're just standing still, they're not just this. They're so it's going up, down, over, up, down.
No, I get you. Go ahead.
And it creates that really fluid.
I can also just save it on my phone.
Oh, that's crazy. I never thought about it that way. Like, it's funny how like little details like that. That's really weird. We'll be like looking out for that now.
Once you know how the sausage is made.
Okay, if you have the money, I got it right there.
There's an old joke about that I always love. A man traveled to the top of the mountain to see the wise alchemist who lived up top to learn. He wanted to learn the secret of alchemy to turn lead to gold. And he studied under the alchemist for 15 years, learning every secret he had, and then finally he could turn lead to gold. But as he was leaving the cave, the alchemist made sure to tell him, in order for the spell to work, you must never think of beavers, otherwise it won't work. And as he left the cave, he knew he'd never be able to perform the spell. Once you know how the sausage is made.
Oh yeah, of course.
Alex are up with It's like I was gone for 3 months. What happened? Oh my
Are all these Heads up, I'm not a 2D artist. I'm actually a 3D animator. So, oh yeah. On my website, that's why I do the Blizzard stuff. And next meeting, I'm going to do stuff on how to beat 3D models. I just like doing pixel stuff, but typically what I will do to make things a little easier for me is I could try and get some back. Is I'll actually animate it in 3D and then draw over it. That's what for games like Transistor, Clash Royale, Clash of Clans and stuff like that. That's when they make those 3D characters and just animate them in 3D and then render them out 2D, because drawing a character moving in 8 different directions is really annoying. Animating one walk cycle and then just clicking the render button is much easier. And that's usually what I'll do. I'll still draw over it, but instead of having to like really carefully think like, oh, where's the foot go, and it's done for me. So been a long time since I've just straight 2D animated.
I forgot how much I hate Utz.
At least I was like, what? Oh, it needs to be like really like sad, like he finishes like drinking a beer.
It's really sloppy at first for me, and then I go up and clean up. I did that Archer animation for a class, and you know, he came in at this stage. He was like, "What the hell are you doing?" I was like, "Shut up! That's what I'm. That's what I'm doing." So let's see what goes. You nailed it. It's,
No, you can't. Oh no.
oh, you're fine.
Just for future reference, how'd you bring up that animation palette that you have?
This one?
Yeah, what?
Window time. The thing is, what's weird with this kind of animation actually isn't great because he's jumping up so much. So I gotta rotate that body. I might scoot this whole thing back more because he's gonna be standing in place and jumping. So normally when you animate, I would actually jump, like have you lift off the canvas. That would happen in the engine. That would happen in the game. The game would do that, not the animation. So what the animation really looks like is just... It's like those walking in place animations, but unfortunately he's jumping. And this is like one more frame, and that's probably where I'd end it because then, yeah, as I said, this would be a separate animation because it'd be switch animation to this, and then do after like 0.6 seconds, switch animation to the next thing.
The only other option I can think of for Chinese food is to get the shitty microwave. Seriously, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are a lot of companies I've looked at and I've worked with before, like freelance. I'm probably going to do freelance, and I might actually end up as a teacher. I'm probably going to be teaching at a few high schools as well as local areas because I also teach video game history.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
I'm probably going to do a lecture here about it. Video game history from 1930 to 2010. Yep.
Wait, how?
Yeah. Pinball.
Oh.
And then the first video game was in 1941. And then the first real video game, I think that's considered a game, like video game, is 1961. There was a game called Space War! Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark is important. But yeah, so I do a lecture on that and like all the cool business stuff that goes on. But I do a lot of 3D stuff that I might be teaching at that, or working for some companies in the local area, as well as just working on my own stuff. There's a possibility I might even end up coming here to teach, which would be cool. I'd like that, but whatever. I don't know. I don't think about it too hard because you were here at Sean Koss. If the more artists you meet, everybody wants to plan out this great future for themselves. But the more artists you really meet and see how they got to where they are now, it's purely by like they worked hard and then it happened, or it didn't happen. Like you just put yourself out there and then it's somewhat luck. It's just be nice or like be friendly with people. Go to the conventions. We showed off Airlock at a convention about a month ago. And met a ton of people.
That's so cool.
Met like, yeah, it was super fun. Like doing that stuff,
Yeah.
making friends, and then just whatever happens, happens. That's really it. Like like everybody wants to plan out their future, but whatever happens, happens.
You want to Oh, my kid up. Oh, God.
Actually, so what I'm actually going to do, so I'm probably going to, this is called overlap. So his head is pretty much in the same spot. So his head's spraying up, but then I'm going to let the body catch up to it. So the head's going to hold there for a second as, so it's like, the body over
Like
there.
it pivots around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and like if you have any questions, because there's stuff I didn't cover just because like this was very free form. I didn't really have enough time to really plan this out. I wanted to talk about a lot of stuff. Like I wanted to cover how to create a dithering brush, like how to create a Photoshop brush for that. I wanted to talk about more texturing. It's just very free form, and I felt like I was boring people, so I wanted to get to let's make a character. Let's do the thing.
Look, don't worry about it. I'll get around to it.
You just did it. Like right now.
My kid.
For the record, I wasn't getting bored. I was just.
No, but I was. I was getting bored of myself.
That's something I do already.
There you go. I sit for hours at the beach.
Well, I gotta go back.
I was like, if I get her actually throw it aside.
Harry's class? Is that in the evening? Is his class in the evening now? Okay, it used to be a morning class.
And you just like procrastinated on the work.
He has actually completely changed that course, partially based on what I gave him input for. Before, when that course was going on, you would just go in and make one giant level. It was just like, you would do one level the entire semester. I was one who gave him the suggestion of like, what if you gave you guys a character, and then it was up to you guys to build a level around it.
He hasn't given us the character yet, actually.
Okay, really? Has he given you like a model, like how big it's going to be?
No.
Really?
Like, it's a first person level, and he's making the character.
No, I'm not giving you whatever.
He hasn't shown us anything about it.
How do you make it so that it's frame by frame, or it says layer by layer instead of?
Oh, you made a video time. I don't know how to convert it.
What you might do is just copy the one about the interactions thing.
You sure you don't want one? You should totally do it.
Some of these are black.
Like,
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying.
Mark Tyson.
Mark Tyson.
Yeah, so sort of like the after.
Like,
Oh,
Same
Just
thing.
like Mark Tyson.
Is this 7232?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Oh my
I was
god.
worried everyone was going to do a 64-64. I feel like everybody still is going to do a 64-64. Just because it's like, ooh, more pixels.
Yeah, I opened this 64-64 and started drawing. I was like, wait a minute.
Until you try to do something really colorful. Like you think it's a lot, and then you start working with it, and then you just always wish for more pixels. What?
No, I took it off. I lied.
Where's the other screen?
They had a Barbie doll head that I was carrying around on me.
That's cute.
Yeah, it was.
When I was little, I bought one from the store when I was 3, because I just wanted something to chew on.
Yeah. You always get kind of pricey. Unless you're like thrift shopping, but you don't want to chew in a thrift shop toy.
There was a dollar store. I probably got sick from chewing all that plastic. It explains a lot, doesn't it?
It's like, I looked at all of you. Damn Dimitri show. We've got this one, and then you. What am I gonna do with you?
I don't know. Work me until I'm dead.
Right. Take you out back.
Ooh, no, Outback. Can I get a steak? Can I get a steak?
A steak?
Yeah, I'd love the Outback.
Alright.
What? Am I gonna get a salad?
Wait, we are at the Outback?
Huh?
We're at the Outback? Where's my food?
I ordered it 4 years ago.
Same.
What are you doing?
I got a dish called.
I'm figuring it out. Why is the screen not working? After working, I didn't text him. But I need stuff.
Alright, so is this shindig pretty much over now?
Yeah.
When did you ask for them to turn in work by? Did you?
No, I'm gonna post it on the thing and send out an email because I want to look at my schedule. I'm probably thinking the end of the second week of break.
Like, come on, someone should have just colored.
Do you have an
And then we
idea?
can do a weekly reminder on Facebook and be like, hey, don't forget.
Are you gonna do it?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Because it's a meme and memes.
Do something weird and dumb.
Of course.
The more weird and dumb stuff, the better.
Always.
It makes all the rules, it makes good
Yeah,
art.
as soon as break comes around, I'll have time.
Just everything that makes good art. Just cut you off with. See?
God, I did so much freeform. I didn't even follow my notes. I forgot to mention so many cool things.
Yeah. Well,
I forgot to mention the book Pixel Logic.
What?
There's a book that I like a lot of stuff from.
Yeah.
I helped contribute to the writer. It's called Pixel Logic, and it does a lot of examples of the stuff I talk about.
That's cool.
I forgot all about that. Was that Morgan Freeman? Was that, Angela Knight?
maybe. I didn't actually do that.
Well, that's what it was now. Half-Life 3 is actually a prequel to Science. I want to see what Steven's doing.
I feel like I'd actually play that though. He was like an alchemist instead.
Yeah, you were invited, but I just wanted to.
Okay, I started out with some other reason, but now I'm worried about.
And I don't know. I don't know.
Or why did I need it done?
Yeah, I don't know where it'll be at, but
Or library.
Alright,
I'd
yeah,
say
keep
we
going.
could go to my place, but I don't have that.
You're better animator than I
Wait, do you have a bed?
I just don't feel like doing the legs.
You guys didn't do it. Where you guys didn't?
Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, yeah, sometimes
Okay,
it's
so
for
getting
this
you-
version, that's like.
What time is it? 8:07. Okay.
I feel like we've been there before.
Wait,
Yeah,
yeah,
so.
so. Where are your apartment for friends?
Is it fine with you?
Oh!
Because he has the best
I drew this all in the wrong layer.
Even though I was in the apartment.
F is for fuck.
The best.
Hear that, Colin? F is for fuck.
I just have something to do, but I'd rather.
His whole
I drew on the wrong layer.
I mean, if you want to sit on the couch while I clean.
You guys can't even sit on my couch, it's broken.
And then if you also want to sit on my kitchen table while I wash literally, I'm not joking, literally every dish in my house because they're all dirty and I've been sitting there.
Well, you can look. But as long as you never think of going and getting even bigger, are you fine with getting even bigger?
That's good. You are just got a baby and a tortilla and call the cows up.
Getting even bigger.
I'm gonna let his body catch up to him.
My favorite part is when you bite
I'm
into
gonna let his
it.
body catch up, get a nice overlap.
You miss baby.
You need.
You miss baby.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need something to sacrifice, you know. Huh? What?
We're planning on getting food,
So yeah, this weekend I'll make
specifically
a
even babies.
quick cheat sheet reminding people how to make
We're planning on
GIFs
getting
in
For
Photoshop.
what?
for food.
For when?
Like right now. No, right now.
I would love to have a second monitor.
What's it?
I would have loved to have a second monitor. So much of my presentation was hinging on having a second monitor.
Or
This whole thing. I only had one monitor. I have this, but this has all of that, and I can't go.
switch back and forth.
Yeah.
Has that not been working for a while? Or?
That one never works. It doesn't have enough ports in the back.
That's like 4 names.
What do you mean?
He does 4 names.
What's up?
I didn't call the name.
No, just
You always sound like you are.
Well, it's not all about you.
have that shit.
What?
Why are you saying it's not
I guess. see this. Who wrote this?
We have snipples on there. Wait, what's the second page?
Bring this up.
Oops. No, it's seriously, it's a secret. You're not allowed. No, you can't. No, don't look. Don't let her look. Don't let her look. Don't let her look. Don't let her look at the second page.
Is it a left
No.
What's the second page?
No.
There's some like
Wait, the second page.
No, you
There's
can't.
some
No.
outside of
No
that.
one's allowed to know except for me.
Just somehow I ran out of space.
Okay.
Is it about me?
No.
It's about yourself?
Where's your?
I know. It's nothing. It's nothing.
What is that?
Daniel just confused himself.
We have to go get food. We have to go get food.
That's right.
What is it?
What's an orange in the wilderness?
I hope everyone has their hatchets. It's gonna be a long road.
Where'd it go?
I think the boys in the downstairs, they're like, I hope you brought your bristles. Hope you guys brought your hatchets. We're gonna go out in the wild. Oh shoot, I forgot my hatchet. It's at my door. It's right down the road. It's like, sorry, we only have like 10 minutes left in class. I don't think you have time to go to get it.
Right, yeah.
It's like every single class for me.
Every class. I always forget.
You have to go and get food.
Yeah.
This is just for fun.
This is just for fun. I don't even know if I'm gonna finish it. I want to finish them.
I love learning things, even though like it's like so foreign to me. You know. That is cool.
Yeah, he's alright.
Dude, that's the first time I've ever heard that. That's the second best compliment I've ever heard.
Wait, he's alright.
No, my favorite was, he is not deficient.
So Bobby, right? What do you think of him? Well, he's not deficient. I'm gonna start saying that.
I just got an email one day, and it's from the academic advisor. And I was just like, that is hilarious, because it really was just like not deficient in credits, but it just said Robert Lauer is not deficient. And I was just like, oh my god.
But it was balancing so well.
Front.
Oh, cute. I haven't seen him yet.
Yeah, you did. I showed you in the BFA thing.
No, he has a different face.
But yeah, he's pretty much going to be doing the same animation this person is. This is for the BFA, and this is like when they're corrupted. You've seen the cute mushroom guy?
Yeah.
This is what he turns into a monster. Yeah. And this is what he is when he's a monster. And then he's going to do like the same kind of animation. So that getting ready phase, he's going to lean forward and do that. And then just like charge at you.
Go back to the mushroom guy.
That's pretty good.
Critique it, Zach. Look at that color theory.
Oh shit, there's a Jaggy. Look at his arm.
What's on its face?
A mask.
Oh.
Nope. Well, that.
Absolutely. That too.
Oh, look at that class. That quality.
Take back your presentation right now. You're not qualified.
Oh my gosh.
So,
No.
this
See, that is a recovery. I have to pile.
like it looks good, but I'm also wondering how to try it with
It's always gonna be just standing in the
Let's go get food.
That's all I have.
It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous.
I had a Spanish teacher in Pittsburgh. She was from Cleveland and she would say because. I had a Spanish teacher from Cleveland and she would say because.
Because?
Yeah.
Because Zach is
I wanted to ask her to say coffee.
Yeah, he's fucking
Coffee. She did the coffee. Coffee. Coffee.
What? What about coffee?
Coffee.
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 Okay, so the other thing someone's Spanish coffee weird, you know? I'm really like, are you making fun of me or what?
Coffee.
How do you say coffee?
Coffee.
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 No, coffee.
You have to put a W in it. Coffee.
It's coffee. Coffee. Coffee.
Why would you want coffee? We have pop.
Sorry, edible!
Trying to get something out of a dog's mouth.
I just love saying, like, well, was it you who said good thing he's a wizard? Like,
No, that was me.
okay, they're good. Like, mostly nonsense.
Overwatch is free for
Are you two not doing the thing?
It got free at like
You
Friday
two know?
12
Download.
Well, it's not free yet.
It's free.
Are we going to Denny's?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Are we going to the studios first? I need to drop stuff off.
And to go 3 to 19. Yeah,
All right.
19 I have code and stuff. So.
I'm going to stop the recording.
Do it.